we can get. All right, there we go. All right, hello everyone. So good to see you all after taking last month off, and hopefully you have enjoyed the summer and got to get away a little bit. We've still been plugging along here at Town Hall, and it was a busy summer, so we'll do a little recap soon. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of July 19?
So moved.
Thank you, Fran. And a second? Thank you, Robin. Okay, were there any comments, concerns, questions? No, hearing none, move to approve. I mean, all approved, sorry. We already moved it. Yes, okay. I'm gonna take the no issues as approval. All right, we'll just get right on into report of activities. So it's been a busy summer. We had a lot of events going on. We knew that was going to happen because we put our postcard out early in the summer, and so it's been just a hopping town, and we can talk about that a little bit. There's been some comment about that, but I'll just update you on a few of the things that I always update you on. The newsletter went out first week of October as planned. Hopefully everyone received it in your mailbox. If you did not, please let me know. I like to keep track of the post office's mailing efficiencies, and the feedback I've gotten has been positive. I haven't had a lot of feedback, but we got it out on time. We had a lot of articles, more articles, I think, than probably any other issue. So that was exciting. A lot of our commissions are getting the idea of being able to use it as a vehicle to communicate with their community at large. So I think that's great. The new homeowner mailings, I'm still doing that. 7 went out in July, 8 for August. So kind of average back to a little bit more than pre-COVID numbers, but certainly not height of COVID numbers where we were seeing well above 10 each month. So still having some new people move to town. And I think I mentioned at the last meeting, but I don't remember. I've had conversations with several of the lawyers in town because I asked them about the challenge that I have when trying to send to an LLC. People are buying properties with LLCs, and so there's no name. They often have a post office box that they don't publish. So the lawyers said they'd be happy to keep some of the blank welcome letters, which has the Explore card, the guide to services in town, and tells them how to sign up for the selectmen's email and for the Explore newsletter. So they said they'd be happy to keep some on file, special or on hand, especially for those LLCs or people coming into town who are not as easy to reach by mail. So that's great. I just haven't put those together and gotten them over to them yet. So I'll work on that hopefully this month. Pedestrian signs. Our pedestrian signs have been a challenge. The one in New Preston got hit again, and then one of the ones here in the depot got hit. But what I'm finding is that we're able to fix them. I had to go to the hardware store and buy some screws to get them. They had these little plastic pegs that were breaking, and so I bought some real screws and nuts. So, but the business owners have been very supportive of the pedestrian signs and trying to slow down the traffic and just making it safer for the pedestrians. So we have 2 in the depot and 2 in New Preston. Plus, actually, there's a 3rd in New Preston on Main Street that the Smithy put up themselves. And I know the White Horse has one. I don't think they ever put it in the middle of 202 out there on right there between them and across the street. But
definitely get hit.
yeah, right. 202 is a little dicey, but they have it right on the side. So anyway, we're still keeping an eye on those. And Jim Britton had asked for some updated traffic numbers and speed numbers for the depot and from the DOT. And I don't think we've gotten those yet, but I will follow up with him as we're continuing to keep an eye on that space.
Michelle?
Yeah.
on this topic, I've seen in other towns and states where at those crosswalks, they have those little flags that pedestrians can pick up, just orange flags, and they kind of wave them also to gather attention as they're crossing the street. And then you just put them back and stand on the other side so the next people coming across the street. I don't know if that would help at all. If there's any implications on that, it's just an idea.
That is an idea. That is kind of interesting.
I mean, people often see you standing there and still don't let you cross. Well, if you're standing there with a flag, then they see the sign that says yield to pedestrians in the crosswalk. Technically, they should let you go, but.
Good, right? State law says they should.
Should, yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Maybe we can take a look and see. I don't, yeah, I've never seen that. So we would have to look and see, do we have places to hold those little flags on either side? And, you know,
It's
is
almost,
that,
I can't remember what they were held in. It might have been even like one of those round little garbage cans that's on a stake. That just something that you could put the handle in and then you bring it to the other side. Just an idea.
yeah, no, that is interesting. I'm orange flag. I wrote it down and maybe we can take a look. Maybe if you can find a picture.
Yeah, I'll look online.
Yeah, we'll look and see. I wonder how effective they are, what the maintenance and et cetera of that is. And
They may even have that. Maybe I saw it over by, I know I've seen it in other states, but I may have seen it over by White Horse Tavern.
they've got all sorts of stuff over there. The pedestrian sign, I think they've got, do they have, well, there's a crosswalk sign. I feel like there was something else, some cones, like they definitely have
Well,
some
the
other.
white line crossing, but I think they might have had the flags.
All right, well, we'll take a look. That's an interesting idea. Let's look into that. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, the Harvest Fest is October 9th. And in the past, the EDC has had a table for the Harvest Fest to sign people up for the selectmen's email and to just let people know what we do, share the newsletter, the guidebook, anything like that. We had a table at the block party in the spring and collected, I think, 30 new email addresses. So it was very effective. And I like to always point out that that's how, at one of those, I think it was those, that's how I met Kristen and Trisha. They came up and were interested in what the EDC was doing, and, you know, I was manning one of those tables. So it seems to be an effective way to get the word out. So I'm wondering how we feel. Do we want to have our table again this year? And does anyone have ideas about anything new and fresh? We did learn in the spring that having a bowl of candy was really helpful. That's a cheap way to bring people to the table. So maybe for the Harvest Fest, we could think of something more harvesty. I have no idea. We could have a themed food item that brings people to the table.
Like apples.
Yeah, right. I eat some
Yeah.
apples. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I'm sure Ava will probably be there. They usually are, I think, but yeah, so we could think about that. And if anybody is interested in working that table with me in shifts, I actually forgot to write down the time. I think it's noon to 5. I think is the Harvest Fest. So
It is noon to 5.
Yes, okay, thanks. So yeah, so anyone willing to spend some time at that table with me, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Robin.
I'll help you. Michelle, I'll do it.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you, Kristen. Okay, so I'll send an email. We'll get little slots, so you don't have to be there all day. And if you have thoughts on what we should have at the table, that would be great. Okay, great. All right, so I'm glad Lisa is here. I sent an email earlier. So winter tree lights. It is something that we're gearing up to do again. This is an effort of the WBA that we assist with. And the feedback has always been incredibly positive. So we ordered more lights last year and they didn't come until January. So they never got hung. So we still have those lights. And we need to get some sponsors, so we're gonna work on that. The sad news is that the big maple in front of town hall has to come down. The drought this summer just sort of did it. We knew it wasn't healthy for a while, but it did it in. So I've been in conversation with Jim and Daryl about getting the lights out of that tree. And we're gonna talk about maybe a different tree on town hall and what the plan is, and we'll have to look at, you know, the other trees that we were hoping to maybe add. Last year, we had sponsors for trees in New Preston, and there was some interest from the green. So I think it would be a nice way to tie it all together, to have, you know, one up on the green, and I think we had a couple new ones in New Preston, so. But we have to follow up. We sort of, after the season ended, we let that, you know, that was put to rest, and so now it's time to pick that ball up again. Does anyone have comments or questions about the trees? I know, Dan, you worked hard on that as well and have been a tree sponsor, so I know it's new.
Yeah, and I think that we would be prepared to sponsor another tree. One of the trees that we had sponsored that has not been installed is the Marty's tree.
Yes, that was the one we had ordered the lights for, and they didn't come until January.
Okay.
So
All right.
that is the first one on the docket, because.
Okay, that's great. But we would be glad to sponsor yet another tree.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Dan.
Is there a possibility of putting sponsorship information on the table for the Harvest Fest?
Oh, that's a great idea. Absolutely, I can have information ready by then. It's a great way to promote the whole
Yeah.
stuff, and we need to get that letter out shortly anyway, so deadlines are good for me, it's helpful. So having that done by that time, by Oktoberfest would be great. We would love to have a plan in place so that as soon as the leaves fall, we can get into the new trees. We can't really do any of the work until the leaves fall, so we've got a little bit of time, but not a lot, because we don't want to push it too close to December. So great idea. Thank you, Tricia.
So can I ask a stupid question? When you talk about a tree sponsorship, what does that mean?
So I have to look back at my materials to get the exact cost, but it's around $3,000 to sponsor putting those lights into a tree. That covers.
Yeah, that's right.
Per
About
tree.
3,000.
Yeah, it covers the cost of the lights, which actually is the least, the smallest ticket item on the tree. And the rest is for the labor of the electrician and the labor of the arborist who goes up into the tree with the bucket truck. So between the electrician and an arborist on site, and the big town hall tree, when they first installed that, and Barbara Bouillet, just so you all know, who's the lighting designer right here in the depot, donates all her time to set the light. It's her idea and her design. She does this for resorts around the world. And it took them all day to do the big tree in the town hall tree. So when you add an electrician and a couple tree guys, it's the labor that's expensive, which is why we decided to leave the lights in the trees. And last year, actually, we had great success in getting the lights from the previous year relit. A lot of them had to be rewired because the wires had pulled out, but the electricians were able to put them together. And since we didn't have to start from scratch, they were able to do all 5 trees in the depot. And I think we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 trees, maybe. They were able to do them all in one day last year. So that was better. So, but once we go back to the new installation, we're back to the $3,000 per tree. But it still costs money for the existing trees, because a lot of the lights end up with the weather and everything, the wires get pulled. So
Are there different levels of sponsorship that, if we put this out to the public, at the Harvest Festival or whatever, where they can donate $10, $20, $100, whatever they want. Do we have
Yeah,
some kind of
we could
form?
actually do that. We talked about doing that in our letter, which we had ready to go for last year, but then we never had the lights on hand, so we never sent the letter. But yes, because you could sponsor the entire tree, or you could sponsor one fixture, or, we can have multiple levels so that people can participate. And I know that some of the newer businesses, some people in the depot have expressed interest, and I know the Smithy, Steve Chabet of 9 Main and the Smithy has talked about sponsoring trees over at his place. So we have some sponsorship in the works. So I feel confident we should be able to get, I think we were gonna bring 3 more trees online. I have to see what the redo of the town hall tree does to that, but that was, I think it's a great idea to get more people involved, and I'll get all those numbers together.
Hey, Michelle, what does the sponsor get?
At this point, the pleasure of seeing lights in the trees. I mean,
There's
all
no recognition?
we did a thank you after the first year, because that was new, that was an all new installation. This was a COVID sort of, we can't do our normal activities, so let's light the town initiative. And we did run a thank you in the selectmen's email and put it in, I believe, the newsletter, and the WBA sent it to their membership. And then we didn't do one last year because we didn't really do a fundraising, and we just had to, fix the existing lights. So we didn't really do it last year. But if you can think of something that we could fund beyond those.
I don't know how big a deal it is, but those little pine starters that they give people sometimes, at some of the town events. If you're
Mhm.
sponsoring a tree, you get a little town, a spruce starter or whatever.
Like those little ones, if you donate to the Arbor Society, they give you a 10-pack of these little things.
Those little tiny things, yeah.
Yeah, no, that would be really cute. That would be cute. Especially to have something like that at the Harvest Fest, which that's an appropriate time for planting. So, well, and that would look really neat on the table. It just might bring people over to see what that's all about.
Yep.
What a cool idea. All right, let's see if we can get our hands on a few of those. Arbor Services of Connecticut, who does the work for us, might have some thoughts on where to get some.
They may be the ones who used to hand them out at like community days kind of things. They may be the ones.
They might be. I'll have to be getting in touch with them soon anyway, so I will ask. Great idea. All
Could
right.
you have a challenge against one of the other towns as far as the lights go? Because Bantam, when you drive through Bantam, they're lit up like crazy.
Oh, I know. They've got the outline.
Yeah,
Right? Yep,
yeah.
that's their theme. And
The shops probably sponsor that though, right? Do they
I
do
think
it?
so. I think it's the building, I think it's the building owners, but, and I'm not sure. And I know New Preston has their window, they usually do their window garlands.
Right.
So yeah, this was just something different. Yeah, an idea that Barbara had that was really well received. And I think it would be great if we can, spread it throughout even more of the town, not just the depot. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right, great ideas. Any other questions or thoughts on the tree lights? Robin, we'll have to check in. It was Maggie up at the Poe who had reached out to me saying, hey, can we get one up here? I think I can coordinate sponsors. So maybe between all the people up on the green, the museum, everybody, maybe we can figure out how to get one up there.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I think that would be nice. Okay, what do we have here? I just wanted to let you guys know that I signed up to go to a workshop. I don't know, it's next week or 2 weeks. It's sponsored by Connecticut Main Street Center. And I don't want to alarm you by the title, but it seemed like it's something that would be useful. It says, from problems to partners, how to successfully engage merchants, property owners, and municipal departments. And in my work, that I've been, various projects that I've been working on. It often involves several municipal departments as well as a property owner. And, as we're looking at our sort of village centers, it just seemed like something that would be a useful training. So I thought I would share that with you. And actually, there was something I forgot to list in my reports, but there are 2 projects that I've been working with Jay Hubblebank, one of our selectmen, on that sort of tie into this. One is Wi-Fi in New Preston. So he's got money in the capital they put aside for I guess I don't want to say electronic, but upgrades. And so he believes he has enough money to bring Wi-Fi to New Preston. And I met with the business, oh my God, I'm at a loss for words today. Oh, the manager over at Don Hill, because that is the building that is first up the road from 202, where they would be bringing the fiber optic cable. And we believe if we can put it on 2 locations on that building, we'd be able to beam it almost all the way up the road. It's hard to tell without climbing up there to see if we would need to put a repeater maybe over at Pergola. Oh, no, farther up the Pergola at Privet House. So anyway, with the goal of getting it through the whole commercial district and then on the other side of the building. So it's going towards the smithy and down that way. So we're continuing to work on the next meeting is to go over with our technician, because we have to put a box or some kind of box that needs electricity in the inside of the building and then wired to these. So for those of you who don't know, we have public Wi-Fi in the depot for free for everyone. And you click onto an agreement waiver and it brings you right to our Explore website. And we put that in. That was a real push of the EDC a few years back because cell service is so spotty. And because so much of our directory is online and the information about us is online, we wanted to make sure people could search and get to that Explore website and find out, where to eat or when something's open or whatever that is. So that's one project in New Preston. The other thing I've been working with Jay on is EV chargers, electric vehicle chargers. Through some of the sustainable emails that I'm on, I found that I think it's Eversource, had some grant money to help put in these chargers. And what's great about them is, as from an economic development standpoint, once you put in a charger, it goes onto the map. So anybody with an electric vehicle who needs to charge can pull up this map and find these chargers and stop. So we're looking at putting one in New Preston, one in Marbledale. Jay was looking at putting one in a couple of the Steep Rock parking lots, so that people could come and go for a hike while they charge. So that's great. Jay's been walking around with I guess it's the guy from Eversource. They have to find the source of electricity. It has to be close to a pole. So I think that's really exciting. It's another way to put Washington on the map. The one, for those of you who come through the depot, you'll see the one in the depot is used a lot. We aren't always sure if it's residents or visitors. It's supposed to be for visitors, but that's okay. People are coming in and using it, which is great. One thing that was sort of interesting though, is when looking at Marbledale and where to put the charger, when I went down there, it really felt like we've got this nice little, it's really like a little village within itself. If you look at a very short span of what would be considered one city block by most people, you have several businesses, a restaurant, a bank, a post office, church. Like it's a real center, but yet we don't have sidewalks. There's nothing really unifying it. And I thought, okay, well, this EV charger, maybe that would be a way to kind of jumpstart this. And then when we were looking about where to put it, some of the turf battles around parking over there have been a little ugly between the different property owners. So if we're ever going to take a look at Marbledale as a village and how we might do some streetscape improvements, that'll be something we're gonna have to figure out. So hence the workshop I'm going to.
You know, on the EV chargers, do those charge the electric bikes too? Because a lot of people are getting these electric bikes.
That is a
And-
really interesting idea, and actually I have something to report about that, but I will find out. I don't think so, because the only plug that I've seen on them is the
Oh,
large.
The ones for the cars?
Yeah, for the car, but
But if they had something to charge the bikes, I mean, a lot of people are getting them and they ride them a long way, actually.
they do.
You know, there's like a bike path area.
They
Okay.
absolutely do,
So-
which actually, that's a great question. It leads me to something else I wanted to share with the committee under new businesses is we've got a new business in New Preston. It's KC&E Adventures, and it's e-bikes, and they do
Yeah.
tours.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so they just opened, they're in New Preston, but right on 202, just down from the Smithy and, you know, like across from Altarelli, kind of kitty corner there. In the building,
KCD,
KC&E,
KC&E.
yeah. Really nice. I went and met with the owner, really nice young couple, grew up in Bridgewater, so they know the area. They actually had moved, I think most of their work was done in Vermont, but they're
Hmm.
moving home, they're moving back. They run tours over in Europe a lot, but what was interesting and what kind of got me in touch with them is that somebody had approached me about doing a bike to work day. And so I reached out to our sustainability committee that I work with and about sponsoring that and trying to figure out how we could put an event together around that. And we realized we would need an EV. You know, if people are going to bike to work in our town, you need an electric bike, an e-bike.
Oh, yeah.
Or unless you're
Absolutely.
really good and fit biker. So as I was doing research, I found KC&E. So I met with them and they're really interested in sponsoring the event and working with us. So that was a wonderful sort of business tie-in. And when I was talking with them, turns out they helped Bridgewater put together a pamphlet about biking in the area with tours and things. And they would be interested in helping us put together one, which Dan and I had talked about a while back. I had somebody else in town, Kathy, forget her name, reach out to me. And so then I reached out to DOT and looked at the bike safety maps and was concerned. So I think there might be a way to work around that. So that was a pretty exciting development. So I will ask about the whole charging for bikes.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
At the table that you're talking about, at the fest,
Mhm.
can you, I don't know if this makes sense or not, but can you actually put local businesses information there to give to people, or is that too commercial? I don't know.
Well, so the event is sponsored. It's a WBA Parks and Rec event. So most of the tables will be sponsored by businesses,
Okay,
right? And
Yeah.
so EDC, we're just going in as we're members of the WBA, but also just as community outreach. So I don't think we need to really promote any in particular business beyond sharing the new guidebook that was printed or the newsletter, you know,
gotcha.
kind of promoting Washington as a whole,
Yeah. makes
right?
sense.
Because I think anybody who wanted to have their own table could do that. Yeah. Any questions about, that was a bunch, about the Wi-Fi in New Preston or the EV chargers? That was a really good thought.
I have a question, Michelle. Did I
Yeah.
understand you to say that there is funding that you and Jay are following up? You're following up with Eversource, that Eversource is providing funding in order to install these chargers?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's Eversource or I can't remember, it's or Energize CT through Eversource. It's like some partnership. And
Okay,
I think they pay for. I have to look back. Jay knows the specifics because he met with them. 50% of each one, or they pay for or maybe it's 50% of the unit and all of the install is what they pay for, and we just have to buy the other half of the unit or something along those lines. So
okay, all right.
Or is it pay, it is,
that's a great question. So the power, this is a new one. It is not like the one in the depot where you just plug in and nobody's charged.
right,
This is one of they have new, electronic things. So the person using it will pay, you put your
You
You
card
need
in.
a credit card.
Yes,
oh, okay.
but what's
yeah.
great about it is it's very programmable. So you can have it, like, if you're concerned about having people leave cars overnight, you can have it shut off at a certain time at night. Or if you're concerned
Mhm.
about locals using it for some reason, I don't know why we would, but you could block out certain zip codes, or there's all these things you can do with it. And I think it also generates reports, which I think would be really interesting, to see if we could see like what kind of zip codes, who's using it, are we getting visitors and stuff like that. So you can get a lot of information from these newer ones.
So,
And
so
Michelle,
Washington has access to the report?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think we would be the owners, I think.
we would own it and we would maintain it.
Yeah, I don't know about the maintenance part. We would own it, and yeah, I have to look. Again, Jay met, I was hoping he could make it today, but he wasn't able to make it, but I don't know exactly who maintains it with the
And,
contract.
and we receive some of the revenue from that station.
I don't believe so. I
No.
think they just pay, the charge is only for the electricity. I don't think it's a revenue generating. I think the reason we want to have them is a service
Yeah.
and to bring people to our town, our villages, to then do some shopping or have lunch while their car is charging.
Right.
Be interesting if you had, is there a light there? So at night they could,
Well, so they
Have a
need to
light
be
or-
pulling their electricity from a pole.
right,
So that's a good question.
yeah. I was thinking you could even maybe stick some of your Wi-Fi there too, possibly.
It's a whole nother,
Yeah.
well, right, because you can't just like grab it from the fiber optic, you have to
Right.
have
You have to have
a
a
unit,
converter.
thank
Yeah.
you, yes, whatever thing that you plug
Yeah.
in. Yes,
True.
that sends it out, but it's, if we've got power and we're creating a
Kiosk.
area, yeah, it's like an area of some sorts. I'm hoping that we can use these chargers as sort of a jump off point for creating little, whether it's placemaking or town center, something nice, to make it, to look nice, to do a little landscaping.
Yeah.
So you're not just kind of sticking this thing out there. The depot after the redo looks so nice. Oh, one of the other spots they were looking at was in the municipal lot in Titus, which is the proposed site for the community center, but it's additional parking at the moment for the whole depot area. Which, this might be of interest to you, Simon, reminds me, I was speaking with somebody the other day who had come down to the farmer's market on Saturday and could not find a parking spot and did not stop. And I said, really? Well, did you go behind town hall? That rarely see that full. And she said, what do you mean? Oh, no, right? So, the fact that somebody who's lived in town for, I don't know, at least 10 years plus, didn't know that there was parking behind town hall, makes me feel like maybe we need to think about signage, which is a challenge. I'll be talking about that later, but just something that we need to remind people that there's parking back there, which is very convenient to the plaza and certainly the farmer's market. And really from the farmer's market, it's almost equidistant to that municipal lot too, which we keep talking about improving the signage too. So when we're thinking about parking on the whole in the depot, those two lots don't seem to, not everybody knows they're there. And so we should think about how to make sure people know they're there. So along the new business line, I just a couple of updates that I'm aware of and hope me, if anybody else is aware of others. So Favorite, which was the women's clothing store, sort of kitty corner from Marty's, has left. She moved to Bantam, and not because she didn't love being in the depot, and she has a very faithful following, but she just found that it was too much of a commitment for her personally with a small child to do retail. And so she's moved to a smaller spot in Bantam where the rent is much less and she's doing by appointment. So, but Depot Dog has expanded into that space because she has such a booming business. She felt that she could use the extra space. So it's not going to be vacant. She's actually already in and has it open. I actually haven't gone in to see the new shelves yet, but so. They're good. I gotta go check that out. And I told you about KC&E. Oh, so Lewis CT, which is in New Preston, was a what was it, decor furniture store right in the building, just up next door to where Clem is, which used to be the kitchen goods store. But Freesia Design has moved in there, and I have met with Romy Freesia before when she was looking for a space, and I just checked on Instagram. Apparently she opened last week, so I have not been into the new store yet, but I will be reaching out to her to just make sure she gets all of her information on Explore and we're all up to date. And then the last thing is I did finally get a hold of Paul, who's the regional manager for Litchfield Bancorp. Apparently because if you don't know, Litchfield Bancorp is moving out of the depot here. And they had a couple of irons in the fire that were sort of local, but apparently those all fell through. So they are going to list it. It is 1,600 square feet. I believe they're going to be listing it for $350,000. That's what he told me, but they hadn't listed it quite yet. They had met with a realtor, and it should be going on the market any day now. So yeah, just so people know, I wanted people to have the right information. I've heard all sorts of rumors about that space. And I wanted to make sure everybody at least knew the correct information. And if we can think of anyone, I often have people reaching out to me looking for retail space in the depot because they're looking for a nice window front spot. But most of them are not usually looking for a purchase. They want to rent. So I'm not sure. We'll see how this goes.
Do you know anything about the Monogram shop? Is that going to stay as a business? Do you
Oh,
know?
she's been there forever.
I know. but
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
My
I
wife goes in there and I mean, it didn't sound like she might stay. I don't know, but maybe.
I
I don't want
hope.
to spread any rumors.
No. And I hope, I want all of our businesses to do well. And sometimes I am surprised because she's kind of tucked in and it's a tough little spot. She's
Yeah.
in there. Kind of on the back, she's facing the side of the pantry.
Right.
And when we were working on the whole tightest parking plan, that little spot there is really a challenge. There's that UPS box sitting there in the middle, so you can't even really park well. So that little area needs a little help.
What about the sushi place
I have not heard. They've had a sign in the window.
that they're supposed to open October now, I think?
I don't know. It keeps getting pushed back. I forget the woman's name. She spoke with Julia. She'd reached out. to-
Jenny.
Yes,
Jen-
Jenny. And they had found somebody to take over the business, I think, but I don't know. I don't know what's happened with that. I haven't touched base. Fran, do you know anything?
I don't really know any details. I know what you know, that they are purported to be opening soon, but haven't.
Okay.
Got high hopes.
I know, right? Another sushi place would be great. Anybody else aware of any changes? Anybody that's left or coming? And definitely if you know of anyone looking for space.
What about the space next to Hidden Valley? Weren't you saying something about that space? Is that empty?
I don't know if it's empty yet. Do you know?
Is
is
that
it
Jeff
Jeff's-
moving out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he moved, he did move out. from what I
Did
heard.
he?
I believe
He
so,
didn't even
yeah.
tell me. I haven't seen him in a while,
He's
and I'm sure
actually
he,
supposed to be here at this meeting, so I'm gonna give him some grief.
yeah, give him some grief, because he rarely makes it.
Yeah,
But he usually touches base with me if he comes into town. I just haven't
Yeah.
seen him, and he's been awfully busy, so. I haven't seen anything about that, but I will reach out. The Wyants own that building.
I know he did buy a facility. And he supposedly has moved in, so I would think he's moved out of his present place. I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
because
find out.
he bought
bought it
that place in
Bantam. Oh,
Torrington,
That's
yeah.
right, that's right.
So
He
it's
told
kind
me
of a
about that.
big, like, factory or something.
Yeah, well, because he was looking for 10,000 square feet,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
exactly.
beyond anything we have here.
Yeah, he got it, I think.
Yeah,
So,
great.
yeah,
Well, I'm happy for him. Sad to lose him.
Yeah.
But,
I can see
Happy-
if I can wrangle him for lunch over at the GW.
There you
We
go.
can do that.
see if you can wrangle him
Yeah.
and find out what is happening, and I'll reach out to the Wyants and see what's happening with that space. That space does need some updating and some work,
Mhm.
so I don't know.
I
if-
think especially the back part of it,
Yeah,
that's needs some work, you're right.
They're working on it right now. Harry's been working on the space and he has a couple people that inquired about use of space.
great. Thanks, Lisa. He didn't have any information about, well, because it's real estate. He's not gonna tell you who's reaching out. Okay. Well, I'm glad. We would hate to see things sit empty for too long, so I'm glad he's got people inquiring. Do you
Did the
know,
training for the medical, the town has the training for
The
the
EMT?
EMT, did that all get in there yet, or?
yeah, I think they're in the new building. I think
Okay,
I
okay.
think it hasn't been renovated yet. I think they're just using as is.
Oh, okay,
I think
Yeah.
that's all.
It's mostly just empty space, but the EMT class is in there. They're having some other stuff in there, but they're hoping to redo a lot of the little offices along the edge and stuff, I think. I mean, they have great plans. It's just they're using it how they're using it for the moment.
oh,
Right.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Have
well,
to talk
because
to Hank about that.
it was great, office space,
Yeah,
you know, and the things they wanted to do was to put in a bay for the ambulance, you know, to pull in and to put in, I think, some showering facilities, some overnight, so people could spend the night facilities.
They
but
wanna-
for
they wanna
training
put
was
a-
great.
They want to put in like a patio and stuff in the back too, so folks can hang out back there, back behind that little side parking lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Oh, that's a great idea.
yeah,
Awesome. So, yeah, so that's up. So they're in, and it's right, you're right, it is next door. Hey, Lisa, did Harry say anything about, whether it was retail that was reaching out to him, or what kind of? Did he share?
Service. I think it was a service
Service, okay,
business. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all. I didn't get details. He's still looking at it because that would be a change. Whatever it was he would have to do a lot of changes to the building. He didn't think it was going to work. But
okay,
he had other inquiries, so I didn't get too much detail. It's always in
alright.
passing.
you're right, I'm sure, but that's great. I mean, we need a lot of services in town. And a lot of, you know, whether it's, you know, home services or whatever, they are always having a hard time finding places to park all their trucks and do the things, so that would be great. That's all I had for new businesses. Does anyone have anything, any questions before we move on to old business? That was a lot of update. I guess before we move on, I would just mention that next month's meeting, Julia Nabel will be coming from Explore. It's time to do our 6-month update on our metrics of, you know, the outreach through the website and Instagram and Facebook and articles and all that stuff. So you won't just have to listen to me blather on next month. That's good. All right, so old business, we have, I do have a childcare update. When we last met in July, because we skipped August, I had told you that we had heard from the school board. You know, so I'm trying to abbreviate this story because it's a long story, but our superintendent left June 30th. And that was her last day. And she was a huge proponent of the daycare, which everyone knows. She came to the public hearing and she presented, I think at one other, she came to the Board of Selectmen meeting. But it was all predicated on the central office moving up to Chippewa, which was something she really wanted to do. But since she left, the school board did not feel comfortable doing that. And the interim superintendent did not feel comfortable moving up to Chippewa. So, so it looked like we were going to be put on hold. But then Greg Cava, who's the chair of the board, met with Jim Britton, and then I did meet with him as well later, because they are very in support of the daycare project. They just need to find a place to put their offices. So, and they're interested in possibly looking at renovating the upstairs of that building, which everybody would be very happy about, because we all know that they're, you know, it's a throwback to the 50s. It hasn't been touched. So the materials up there would be abated. That's town space that's sitting vacant that would then be being used. And, you know, it's a town building that has empty, you know, the first floor is being used, but the upstairs being empty just creates challenges for the maintenance of that building, the heating of it, and etc. So they are very interested in that. So we were advised to move forward with that STEEP grant, which was the grant for the Small Towns Economic Assistance Program. And because you have 4 years to spend that money, so feeling confident that the central office would find a place to go, we went ahead and applied for the grant, and I found out this morning that we got it.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
I know, it's so exciting. Huge thank you to Trisha, who helped me with some of the narrative parts of that. I was looking back at it. It took a lot of work. It was 20 documents in all submitted once I pulled together letters of support and maps and estimates and construction documents and drawings and all of that. So that is $458,949 coming to us to do that. So I'm thrilled. It's something I have a message I haven't returned yet. I continue to have people calling me probably once every week to once every 2 weeks, young families asking for their children to be put on the wait list. You know, and it breaks my heart because you know, I could not predict an opening date. You know, a year might even be quick, but at least there's some progress to move forward, and that is really exciting. Also, just so you know, I had put in a request to the ARPA committee for the daycare as well, and I will need to update that request because there are still some expenses related to the daycare that were not eligible for the STEEP grant. So, for example, furnitures and FF&E, which is fixtures, furniture, and equipment, right, was not eligible for that grant. So that is all the toys, the shelving, the mini refrigerator, appliances, like all of this stuff. And it was around $50,000 worth of stuff that needs to go into the building once the shell is completed. So I will update the ARPA request. That committee continues to meet. I think the deadline is October 15 or 13. I think Dan.
Yeah, it's October 15th.
Okay,
And we would welcome you recontacting us and laying out where you want to go with it.
thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Yeah, so that's good news.
Congrats. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Great.
Yeah, that was really exciting. The nonprofit is in the works. The board has held its initial organizational meeting, and the paperwork is being worked on. I don't know where the status of that, but I'll follow up. I kind of, once I got that grant submitted, I hadn't thought about it for a while. I moved on to other things. So yeah, so that's a great, if does anyone have questions about that? We're gonna, the path forward at this moment is a little unclear. There's a lot of work that needs to happen. I have worked with the architect to look at putting an elevator and getting some rough estimates for the second floor. The school board is going to go ahead and put out an RFP, I believe, for renovating the second floor. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Can people donate furniture for that, or does it have to be new furniture, you know?
I think if it's in good condition, it could probably be donated. We're not ready for that though, because I have
Yeah.
nowhere to store it,
Right,
but
but I mean, maybe that's a way you can, you know, I mean, probably people have stuff they can give for that,
possibly,
yeah.
yeah. Some of it, I mean, there, you know, health and safety, I'd have to check in with
Right.
the Office of Early Childhood to make sure that things could be donated, but that's a good thought.
It would also be possible to have people donate. I mean, to raise funds by having somebody donate tables and chairs or something like that. And
Good
Absolutely.
idea, yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And I'm sure that will all be in the works once we get the building started, or at least have the path forward on that figured out. So, yeah. All right, some good ideas. I will be back to you because there was so much more work to be done. I have to say, I don't know, hopefully you all read the newsletter. The town added a new position of buildings and property manager to our employee list, and hired Mark Showalter, who is retiring from Frederick Gun School and coming here as I think he's realizing it might be a fair amount of, and a little more work than he thought, but it's wonderful because he knows buildings and property, has been managing that entire Frederick Gun campus for years. And all of our we had a volunteer committee, a buildings and property committee, managing all of our buildings and grounds. So really glad to have him on board because that is a town-owned building, and managing that, or just overseeing that construction would be a big project. So, all right, moving on to the Welcome Center update. So the outside got painted, which is so exciting. The water bottle filler was installed and is actually working. That took forever. I met with some workers over there today. The new bulletin board that goes on the outside was hung this morning. I have 2 signs kind of in the works. The Legion Hall sign I had remade, and it's being done as we speak. Should be coming back soon. The sign that we're all really excited about, which is the new outdoor sign, has been a challenge. We all approved the design, then we needed to add Parks and Rec because that position changed over the summer. So that was fine, got a new design on that, we approved that. And then it occurred to me before I ordered it that I should probably just get the zoning permit for it, because you need a zoning permit. And so I got the application, and what's holding the whole thing up is that I need a survey, and there is no survey of that piece of property, which is just crazy. It's town owned, it's Legion Hall. I've had the building inspector, the town clerk, the assessor, and the land use department all looking in all of their files for me, and nobody can find a survey. So we're gonna just have to, and the rule is it has to be 10 feet from a property line. What's challenging is it's great. I found all the big maps from the plaza redo, which is great, which is all town owned. But since the town owns the plaza and the town owns Legion Hall, they just didn't draw in that property line, so. I don't know, so I'm working on the permit for that sign. And I've had several meetings with Mark Showalter and the Buildings and Property Committee over at Legion Hall. Estimates came in higher than what they had budgeted for, so we kind of relooked at the electrical because things were escalating, so. Nothing's ever as easy as it seems, but we are moving forward. I met with the new collections manager up at the gun museum to look at the historical component of what we're doing. She's very excited about the project, and we're probably gonna meet tomorrow down in Legion Hall. And the museum just hired a new curator, so we'll have people to work with. I had started this project with Stephen Barkus, so that component of it was a little challenging, but I think we have new people in place. We'll be able to move forward. Julia says she has a lot of the files she thinks they need on hand from doing the museum work, so I think we haven't hit any roadblocks that we can't get through yet. They're just, everything has been more challenging than we thought. Any questions about the Welcome Center? No. All right, good.
Michelle, maybe at the Harvest Festival table, we can have something about, have you checked out our new Welcome Center? Well, it's not opening yet, right? It won't be done yet.
No, it's not looking too pretty yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the outside got painted, which is fantastic, but the inside is still a work in progress and nothing's really new there, so.
Do you think it'll be done by holiday in the depot?
I hope. Painters have to come back, but the painters don't come back until the electrical is done. And then the signage doesn't go up until the painting is done, so it's just this sequencing of workers, and we all know how busy they are, so we'll see. We'll see. We promised in our last meeting we would do a ribbon cutting when that happens. So I will keep you posted when I feel like we might be in the home stretch. But I think we should wait for at least the painters. The grout in the bathrooms is gonna get, there's still quite a few things on that list to happen. I'm just excited it started. So. Before we move on to the reports, under new business, I didn't have, but we have Simon here, and it was actually news business last month, so I guess it should have been old business. But we talked about an Arts and Culture Committee meeting, and I had said in the minutes of our last meeting that I was going to meet with you, and then I did, and now you're here. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we are going to get that up and running. We're just going to pick a date and get a meeting on the date and see where that goes. So
Great.
thank you for being here.
Of course, you're welcome. Hi, everyone.
I know, and if everyone doesn't know, Simon Holt is the director of the Washington Art Association. Is that executive director? Is that your title? I want to make sure I get that right. Of the Washington Art Association, just joined us this summer and is figuring all things out. He had some great questions about why we don't have some more signage in the depot. And I was like, guess it's impossible. It's a challenge. I've had talks about that with Lisa too, but I think, we'll keep chipping away at it. I think this sign at the Legion Hall will actually be really helpful to everybody on the plaza, because we're going to place it so that you see it as you're driving down 47. So if you turn your head, you're going to see the sign and it's going to look like stuff is down there. So hopefully they will turn and they will find you, and they will find the Welcome Center, and then they will find everybody. And hopefully we got to help them find that parking too. I mean, if they're at the arts, they probably see it if they make it to walk.
Right.
But the fact that people turn around and just don't notice that there's a
Right.
whole lot there behind the
Mhm.
police station is remarkable, but so all to be worked on. All right, we have Fran here. It looks like Lisa had to jump off. Did you have anything you wanted to share from the WBA?
Just really the Harvest Festival on October 9th. And the posters and the flyers will be going up in the next few days, but I mean, there's a food truck. There'll be the tables with vendors, both volunteer and for-profit tables, and there'll be a scarecrow contest. And the scarecrow contest this year is open to anyone. It's in the past, it's just been businesses. But if anyone is inclined to want to make their own scarecrow, there will be details available soon.
You know, I would love for the EDC to do a scarecrow. I think that would be cool, but I used to have to do one for Aspetuck and it's just, so, I don't know, that creative, I can do it, but it also feels like, a lot daunting. I'm not that creative. So if anybody feels that they want to tackle that and they're feeling creative, I'm happy to help. But it's always fun. If no one's been to the scarecrow contest, it's fantastic. It is wonderful. Wow's got to put a scarecrow in.
We do.
Good. I know you usually do. There are usually a couple of pretty fantastic ones. And then some funny ones and some cute ones that, you know, groups of kids make. So it's great. It's the highlight, I think, of the Harvest Festival. So.
Yeah, the challenge is the Ambulance Association and the fire department.
Oh, right. They always do
in their
something
own
amazing.
special category.
They are. They take it to
They
a whole
could be
nother
winners.
level.
They could be winners. I mean, they could just have the declaration of winners and then let everybody else.
Well, you guys could have categories, you know, there could be like artistic and then scary or what are theirs are always just super involved. They set up a whole vignette, like of things happening. It usually involves stretchers and somebody getting mauled and sometimes exploding pumpkins and yeah.
What do you want to do?
I'm putting my 2 cents in. When,
Yes, hi, Margaret.
how are you? When
Well,
Dan and I were giving we still give the prize at Washington Art Association. There were, for the members show, there were some very obvious winners. And I think there was some people that won maybe 1 or 2 years in a row. And it was decided by maybe the board of the Washington Art Association that those people, because they've won in the past, should be kind of excluded. And it's maybe that might be an option. It might make them very upset. But
Yeah.
there's some other very, very good scarecrows that we all see. So maybe we know that the Washington ambulance is going to do one that's fantastic, and the fire department. But maybe someone can talk to them and say,
Well, the committee,
give someone else an
committee
opportunity.
yeah, there is a committee planning the Harvest Festival, so I will pass that on, but
All right.
I think
We
they're planning.
wouldn't
You
want to
wanna-
discourage them
that's
from
right.
participating.
No,
though, right?
no,
Because everybody can't wait to see what
It's a
they come
great
up with.
rivalry.
And the people that got the prize that were kind of, and I don't know exactly how it was worded to them, but the people that got the prize still participated. I don't know if they were particularly happy about it, but to give someone else an opportunity, because there's a lot of, that's just something to think about.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Okay. That's my 2 cents.
Great.
Thank
Thanks, Margaret. Thanks, Margaret. Wait, now, do I put Margaret down as in attendance for the meeting as well?
Yes, by all
Yeah,
means.
sure.
By all means, she's been lurking in the background for the whole meeting.
Okay, well then she definitely was in attendance. She didn't just pass through. All right.
All right.
Excellent. I would just add to Fran that there's a social tomorrow that the WBA
Tomorrow night,
has.
yeah,
And
the-
then Lisa
at
reached,
Bernard Costas Preserve at
Yeah.
5:30, 7:30 for the Business Association, new members and old, yeah.
which is good. And also Lisa had asked me to help put together a workshop for the businesses. That is going to be October 12th at Judy Black Park. And so I've been working with Amanda, who that's her event. And so we're kind of putting together an agenda of what will be at that workshop. So I've reached out to a couple people who couldn't make it. And actually, I should just let you all know that Jim Britton said that he would attend, and I thought that would be nice to have a portion of the workshop devoted for sort of a Q&A if business owners want to voice concerns they have or direction they'd like to see the town, or, you know, anything that has to do with the town, so they could just speak directly with him. So he said he would attend, but I'll keep you posted on what I come up with for that workshop. I'm trying to think of and Jim is on vacation this week, so that's why he is not here. And unfortunately, Jay couldn't make it, so I can't think of anything that the selectmen are working. They've been talking a lot about the transfer station and all the new things happening up there, which is exciting. And there will be information coming out about that soon. They're going to be adding some materials for recycling, and the whole project got delayed because of materials. I think the fencing is on back order or something like that. So that has been on their agenda a fair amount. Does anybody have anything else they want to add? Oh, I forgot under new business. Sorry, I skipped it. All right, tax mailers. A couple years back, I'm gonna show this to you guys, and I'll hold. Oh, it's going to the owl there. This insert was added to the tax bills in January, and it was collecting emails for the selectmen's email. And I think also it's a little unclear actually whether it was because it talks about the Alert Now system. So I think we would need to update this, but I spoke with Donna, our tax collector. They have not sent it out in the last 2 bills, so it's been a little while. And I spoke with Jim, and he was on board with inserting it. Donna is okay with putting it in as long as she doesn't have to insert some other information, because she doesn't want the envelope to be, that she doesn't want the tax bill to be lost in a whole bunch of flyers. So at the moment, we're the only people who've asked. So I just wanted to check in with the EDC, make sure you guys think it's still a good idea. She said the cost would be around $300 plus or minus, and we have money in the budget to do that. So if you all are in agreement that that's worthwhile, we can take a look at that, at doing that again.
A new tax bill sent out in January?
January.
Or
Or July. No, I think
they're sent out in July, and I mean, it's payment in
I think you're right. I think it's July. I think it's July. Not January. She does not send them in the January bill. It's sent out in the July bill. That's correct. But it's this year's budget. That's what I was thinking about. So we would decide in this year's budget whether we were going to do it or not. So you're right. We have time. It says here, I even wrote down in my notes on the back here that I don't need to have it ready until May. So yeah. Thank you, Fran. Does everyone agree that we should put it in?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm seeing some nodding. Okay. Good. We'll take a look at the wording. I think it's a little outdated based on the way we're using the system. So we'll just double check that. And budget to do that. Any other business? Any questions, comments, concerns?
Michelle, I emailed you something about those crossing flags. So look in your email, see, and I just did it from one site. There may be plenty of other sites that offer it, but just something to look at.
Great, thank you. I will check that out. Yeah, so next month we'll have Julia coming to talk about all of those various communications. So we can look forward to that. That'll be the October meeting, and then believe it or not, well, at some point we should probably just maybe on the following agenda, take a look at the goals that we had set forth for the year and see how we're doing against our goals. So maybe that can be a November topic. All right. Well, hearing no other business or questions or comments, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, all approved. Nobody ever says no, right? All right, great. Thank you so much. Good to see you all after taking August off. And we'll be in touch.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.